Sten Vesterli. I've been an IT professional for 20 years. I've been developing stuff. I've been leading development teams. I've been presenting at conferences, like teaching development. I've written a stack of books on IT, and I come to realize that IT isn't really living up to its potential. Like, we're not really realizing the promise of IT. And I decided that if I stayed in IT as a developer and as a team lead, I would simply be I would still remain part of the problem. And I decided to become part of the solution instead. So the solution is to make organizations get maximum value from their IT investments. So we're investing a lot of money, but we're also wasting a lot of it. Total IT spending in this year is going to be around $4 trillion. And surveys show that about 25% of that is wasted. Now, that's when you ask the IT professionals themselves. If you were asked the business, they would probably say, half of it is wasted. So there is a huge potential here for improvement. And also, like, I've noticed that IT is the most laughed at profession. So if you Google IT jokes, you'll find that there are 400 million IT jokes, which makes us by far the most laughed at profession. Like, lawyers get only 30 million, and even doctors have only 100 million jokes, but we have 400 million jokes about, our profession. I still consider myself an IT professional, even though I'm not doing actual IT work. I'm helping IT organizations become better at what they do. And central to my work is the idea of value maturity. So the organization has a value maturity when they know what business value they're providing. So an IT system provides some kind of value, but unless you know what the value is, then you're investing blind. So I'm grading, like, organizations have their, level 0 is they're clueless, like they don't know what they're running. And then there is the knowledge level where they know what they're running, they have a systems list, but we need to get at least to the comprehension level where for each system, you know what it does. So each system is connected to an actual business owner. I've seen systems lists that had, nicely in a column with business owner, and it had a business owner listed for every system. But when I looked at the org chart, I discovered that the business owner was actually somebody inside the IT organization. So that's not the way it should work. So at the knowledge level, you have, a business user. Then you have the comprehension level. The comprehension level, you have the business owner. At analysis level, then you know what the cost is. So you can split the cost on each system, so you know what each system costs. Then at the evaluation level, you also know what business value each system provides. And that's what you really want to get to know, where you know what does the system cost and what value does it provide. And above that is the innovation level, where very few organizations are, where you can actually grade your systems on what kind of engagement does this system give you with your customers or your end users. Because one thing is that we calculate something in dollars, where we have a value, in a business value in a money amount. But what we really want is, where do we get the engagement? Where do we get where can we build relationships with our customers that are separate from, better than others? So this idea of value maturity is central to my work. And whenever I work with an organization, I try to help them understand their value maturity and help them move up. So where I work with organizations actually around the whole life cycle of IT. And, we have problems in what we build, we have problems in how we build it, we have problems in how we test it and roll it out, and we have problems in how we maintain it. So we have various problems all around. And I have some way of helping people depending on where their problem is. So the first thing is in what we build. My favorite example is coronavirus tracking apps. Every country has built one. and none of them work. And IT professionals could see that coming from a mile away. Like we knew that we could see that this was not going to happen. We knew what the Bluetooth technology that was based on, what it could do. We knew what the frameworks developed by Apple and Google could do. We knew what people who were professional app developers knew what penetration this app was likely to have. So we could see it wouldn't work, but still we had every country building their own app and spending money that could have been spent on actually hiring contract tracers, which would have worked. So I'm not in favor of IT for IT's sake, which is one of the problems that we have in IT. Like we think, well, here's a problem, so there's an app for that. And sometimes there isn't an app for that, or the app is not the right solution. So where I'm brought in this role is typically to evaluate the business case as a second opinion. So either from the IT organization, from program management, or even from the business who will say, well, is there really a business case? Does this make sense? Do we have the right scope? And then the second part is how we build it. And well, one of my favorite stories on building IT systems is from I was at a conference in Mumbai. I was speaking there in a large conference hotel, and we all know how elevators work. Only in this hotel, then the elevators didn't work, or they didn't work as they should. So I would have my room on a high floor. I would go into the elevator. I would press the button to go down to the ground floor where the conference center was, and other people would come in. And sometimes on the way down, or sometimes the elevator would just stop. Doors would be closed and it wouldn't be moving, and we'd all be looking at each other. What's happening? And eventually, it would start moving again. But sometimes it would move back up. Well, I'm an IT professional. I can figure this out. There's a problem here. So I started observing what was happening. And the first thing I figured out was that if I was alone in the elevator, it worked. So obviously it wasn't a problem with me, it was a problem with other people. So I observed carefully what was happening. And what it turned out was that this elevator, the people who had built this, had decided to build in a feature that nobody asked for and nobody was expecting. So when you go into an elevator, press ground floor, that means you want to go to the ground floor. When the next person comes in and presses ground floor, nothing happens because it has already been instructed to go to the ground floor. Some clever people at the Mumbai Elevator Corporation Limited decided that maybe somebody wanted to cancel their instruction. So in this specific elevator, when you press the ground floor once, it would go to the ground floor. When you press it the second time, it would cancel the instruction. So when the second person came in and pressed ground floor, then the elevator had no instructions. It would just hang there waiting for instructions to go in any direction. So this is one of these classic user experience disasters where you build something and the users can't use it because you've changed, you don't conform to what the users expect. And in these cases, when I'm brought in to help organizations realize the value, then typically they're not seeing the value that they were expecting. So they're seeing that people are not using the system. They don't have the usage they were looking for, which kills the business case. If you're depending on 50% of your users using the self-service solution, and only 2% are, then and everybody else is still calling the call center, then you have the system, but you're not harvesting the business value. And when I look at that, it's almost always a user experience problem. Now, I've been trained in user experience, so I can recognize these things. And there are user experience professionals out there, but too few people use them. So they're designing stuff that doesn't match the users. So that's another way where I'm working with organizations, creating the business value or housing the business value that's potentially there, but they're not seeing. Then the third part is the rollout, where I'm brought in there is when there is typically this quality issues. Like there's too many bugs. And IT has this dangerous power that we can always build things a little worse and nobody can tell the difference. So we have the project triangle, speed, speed, scope, cost, and if you fix two of them, the third is given. So that's standard project management. And if you tell somebody to build a bridge and they said it will take 4 months to build a bridge, you tell them to build it in 3, they say it can't be done. Because, we need to set concrete, we need to dig, we need to move this much earth. It can't be done. But if you have an IT project and they say it'll take 4 months, you say do it in 3, they'll say, okay. And they can cut some corners and nobody can tell until the whole thing comes crashing down. Because the project triangle is actually a project square. Quality is the hidden factor. And in IT, we have this ability to just decrease quality so we can meet all the other 3. So it looks like magic, but what happens is actually that we're just cutting corners. But we're able to cut corners, hidden corners that the user can't see. Like you can't cut corners when you're building physical things, but when you're building virtual things like a computer program, you can cut corners. And that's what happens when you try to fix all 3 corners of the project triangle. So that's typically there are process issues there. So when I brought in, if you have quality issues, then there can be process issues, but most often there are testing issues. So you're testing the things that are easy to test that don't make a difference, and you're not testing the things that are hard to test but do make a difference. So they will say, oh, we have a gazillion unit tests, which means that this little part works and this little part works and this little part works. But in effect, we don't have a system that works because system tests are hard and they're not building enough of those. So very often, if we have a system that has quality issues, then it's a testing issue. But I help people getting the quality up, again, with a focus on achieving the business value that you're looking for. And then the last part is the maintenance. So strangely, we know that we need to maintain machines, but we never budget on maintenance for computer systems. So we say, oh, it's built. So once it's built, we just turn it on and it'll run forever. Well, in theory, yes, but in practice, no. Because what happens is there's always some of the systems that it's connecting to will change. There are database upgrades that needs to happen. There are operating systems that are deprecated. So you need to budget on maintenance. And for some reason, IT is stuck in this project mindset of we allocate 3 million to build this and 0 to run it afterwards. And in this case, when I'm brought in because the organization is spending too much on maintenance and not enough on innovation. And the typical IT budget is 80% maintenance and 20% innovation. And everybody wants it to be, the other way around, but they're just stuck in this maintenance mode. And I think I see 2 main problems there. One is that you're running systems that no longer provide business value. So there are systems that are underutilized, but unless you're really actually tracking usage, you'll find that you're not retiring old systems, but the usage have declined, but the cost have stayed constant. At some point, these 2 lines cross, and you're actually in a place where you're spending more than you're getting in business value. So that's when you need to retire systems. So that's one thing. And the second part is to allocate maintenance costs. So this is to get to the analysis level in the value maturity. If you just have 46 people running databases, then you don't know how much time are they spending on each product. You just know I have a database section of 46 people. And that's not really useful because it doesn't allow you to say, well, this system provides this much value and it has this cost. So just allocating the maintenance cost to the individual systems is a first step in moving up in value maturity. And that's one of the places where you can find, once you dig into it system by system, you will find that, oh, really, it's actually costing us. There's actually 3 people working full time on keeping this little system that provides marginal business benefit. So maybe that system simply needs to be replaced, or sometimes you can even have systems that are so expensive to run and they use so little that you can replace them with a manual system, or somebody can whip up a little application in some rapid development tool that will be, they'll be done in a week and they will solve this little part of the problem that's actually left. So that's how I help organizations all through the cycle to get like maximum value from their IT investment. And I see that IT is a force for good. Like it can provide a lot of value, but it's too important to be left to the IT department. So that's where I come in.